Right, let's have a look at this then. So, these panels, I'm going to find this guy online because he's cool. Right, this guy. So this guy's like an old Max user. He's been doing it for slightly longer than I have. And he, a while ago, did these big studies. This makes this full screen. That's it. Of Starship panels, and they're kind of like a classic in this particularly nerdy genre. So they're mostly Photoshop. There's some bits of crazy 3ds Max detailing which he did, which I think we might have a look at today. So you've got some little features which are Max driven, lots of painting and emboss in Photoshop to kind of get the shading. Maybe a bit of hand painted shading there. So the idea is that he starts off with a shape, a black and white shape, which gives you the main kind of graphical structure. So that's one shape, and that's driving this structure. And then here's another shape, which is driving this structure, like that. Now, originally when he did this, I always thought he was doing something really funky procedural stuff, which was driven by these textures, which would have been cool. But having had a few chats online, I've since discovered that he's mostly done it by hand, which isn't quite as cool. But there's still a truckload of detail in there, so I think there's some bits of procedural photo bashing that's going on to add these kind of layers and layers of complexity so your eye gets drawn in. And I think what's especially cool about these is we straight away get an idea of scale. Like we can tell that these panels are going on like really big structures, which is really cool because it's quite difficult to make what's basically abstract shapes appear to have scale. So you can see we've got these layers of different shapes at different scales. So we've got some big shapes. Oops. So we've got some big features over on the left, and we're driving down into increasingly small and small features. Loads of detail down here. So I'm going to start looking at. I think I'm not feeling particularly creative today, so I might just look at sort of copying maybe something like this panel and seeing how far we get in the next half an hour. And we'll look at some tricks to kind of build stuff up quickly. So let's minimize that. Yeah, let's just drag that over there. Okay. Right, so let's start off. So we're going to turn on the snaps. I'm going to right click on here. I'm going to enable snap to grid points because that's going to help us. And we're in the top view. And I'm just going to make a rectangle which is going to give me some scale. So let's just do that. And I'm going to set the scale to be 10 by 10 meters. Yeah, could probably be bigger than that. Doesn't really matter. And we'll just center it by clicking over here. Okay, so that's the scale of our panel. And then I'm going to go over here and we can start drawing some lines. So So with the snap to grid feature, let's hide that. That's going to help me draw some angles. If I hold down Shift while I'm drawing lines, you can see that it goes either vertically or horizontally. But because I want to do these, well, maybe we'll do it like that actually. And then if I mouse over that again, it will close the spline. I'll go over to here, press vertex, and I can chamfer those corners just a little bit like this. So that's like a base panel. So, I mean, the key to this is lots of layers. Control A, I don't want any of those corners. Right, so that's cool. Let's just duplicate that over here. I'm not too fussed about this being super accurate, but what I'm also going to do is stop. See, it says snap to vertex. It's just making things a bit jumpy, so let's just turn that off. We're only snap to grids now, and that's a bit nicer to work with. So just get this in place. Sometimes if you hold, now I snap. So I'm pressing S before I click on it, and then I snap in place like this. S, turn on snap, turn off snap over this, turn it on snap. Yeah, that was unnecessarily complicated. So let's just make some big shapes while I'm here. So let's just drag that way over here. So this is a bit like photography composition. I'm trying not to hit center lines. Oh, I could try it with shift drag to clone. Try it with the golden mean, that would be very arty, wouldn't it? Right, that's a base. It's a bit dull. Let's attach all that together. So that's one shape. Let's just drag that over there. I'm just generating ideas. Hey man, how you doing, Shrek? I don't know how to pronounce your name. One session for MCG? I do have some like MCG tools which we could try. But maybe not today because I'm not super prepared. But I do have a cool tool which you can use for generating detail, which I could show you. So maybe when we drill into this a little bit further, I'll show you some a couple of detailing tools that I've made using the MCG. MCG is a bit fiddly, I have to say, so you have to have your head on if you want to use it. So let's rewind. So this is one way of working, and I'm just going to. The neat thing about the line tool default background, let's just turn that to gradient, is that if I just add an edit poly on top, it makes it solid like that, which is cool. And then I can start working from there. Another way of doing this would be, we can, let's delete that now. So here's another plane. Make it 10 by 10 meters. And I'm just going to drop it down a bit so that I can see what happens next. So, let's hide that selected. Right, I'm going to draw some lines over the top of this, and I'm going to try and ape some of the design on this. And just for speed, I'm not going to worry about my 45-degree angles. So we've got that kind of line, this kind of line, this kind of line, and this already feels better. Speed is good for creativity, I think. Let's bring that in there. It feels like a tree, doesn't it? Let's make it a bit more tree-like. Holding down shift to keep things angled. So these are, I'm like using this to visualize panel cuts. And I want to add detail, but I don't want it to become busy. So it's like I'm looking for like, so your eye is drawn into like ever increasing bits of detail. I want to balance it across the image as well, so we're not getting like that maybe. Do you really want to straighten that though? Let's just scale that into the center. Some other day, man. Yeah, for MCG. Well, we'll do a bit now. We'll do a bit now. One trick. If when you're trying to adjust things, I don't know if you can see this in the live stream, but you can actually see the anti-aliasing on this line, and it's kind of, it gives you a bunch of steps. So you can use the anti-aliasing when it kind of strobes as you move things about, and when you get it just right, that kind of strobing goes away. So if you're feeling really particularly pixel pushy, you can actually just watch the anti-aliasing to make things like perfectly 45 degrees and stuff. Right, so we've got a bunch of lines. That's a bit of a shape. I think I want to add some structure just down like here, maybe. Has anybody played with the MCG tool? It's cool. Everybody uses it for kind of cloning stuff in interesting ways. So I feel like the full power of it has only been realised by a few people because it's a bit of a head fuck. I swore on YouTube. Whoops. Right, I think that's enough. I'm not going to worry about this too much right now. So that's like our panel sketch, and that already feels a lot better than the last one I did. Right. So how am I going to do this? I want some of these to be. Alright, let's just bring this back again. So we've got these varying line thicknesses which reveal detail, and then we've got some other like tiny cuts which reveal less of the structure, and then those are more about like kind of establishing scale. So we've got like tiny, smaller and smaller cuts. So we won't have time to do all of that today, but we can kind of get into some of this. So I think what I'm going to do is try and find like one major line which I want to add thickness to, and then everything else can be like somewhat smaller. And where's that major line going to be? Maybe this one. Right, what am I going to do this? I'm going to clone it because I like that angle. Okay, no, let's just do it like this. Right, so let's convert that to an edit poly, and we'll do a bit of hand modeling initially to get that first line in place. That feels good, and I think now I've done that, I think I want another one down here. Where's my Swift Flip tool? So press 2 for edges, I'll double click on this edge and we'll split that. Like that. So that feels good. So another way of tackling some of these shapes is rather than modelling by hand, we can leverage some of these things which I've just used. So do I want to do that? And I'm adjusting these to 45 degrees because I want to preserve like the shape language, the angles. So like there's going to be things tend to have like a uniformity of proportions and angles. So by sort of just cheating this to keep it at 45 degrees, I'm sort of establishing a rule about how things work in this fantasy universe. Just push that up a bit more. Right. So let's add another cut here. Just use the cut tool. And I'm sort of, again, I'm watching the anti-aliasing to try and get this 45 degrees, but it doesn't really matter. So then we can grab this bit and attach it as an element. Just move over slightly. Clink. It's better. I don't clean up some of this stuff. I think I do want that to be 45 degrees, and I'm going to be a bit nerdy about it. And then I will try and blast through the rest of it, so I'm not spending all my time doing little design work. And I think you've got the idea of what I'm trying to achieve, which is layers of detail, starting with like big shapes and working down to ever smaller shapes. Creating a complex physics simulation in Mass Effects. Right. In Max? Dude, you want to use Twiflow? I'm going to bring that up now because it's freaking cool. Oh, you just get the documentation page. Twiflow. Go check out. I'll put it in the chat as well. Oops. Yeah. Go and use Twiflow. Twiflow is awesome. Like, I spend days just talking about how awesome Twiflow is. Twiflow is like Houdini for Macs, and it's basically free because it's in beta. And it's one guy, he's a genius at Max Dev, and he's basically doing it. I don't know why he's doing it. Well, it's in beta right now, and I guess that at some point he'll release it as a paid plugin. But it's just so awesome. He really knows what he's doing. It's all like GPU accelerated and stuff, and it is Houdini for Macs. And I can't. Well, I've already said it's awesome. It's so awesome. It's free. You can go download it. There's a big Facebook community with the developers and other experts on it. If you go and check out. I'll just do the link for this as well. Check out the Facebook group. Don't do it now because otherwise we'll never come back to my live stream. Because I just go and check out when this is done. Go and check out some of the videos on it, and if you can do anything on Twiflow, if you do any cool shit, then go and post to my Discord. If you don't know where it is, does everybody know where? Well, I'm just going to post my Discord link again. Yeah, it's free for the moment. I don't know when it's going to go paid. And to be honest, if you're doing anything at all, it's probably worth it because you're going to save so much time, even if you're a student. Like, it's worth doing it. Man, like, time is just flying. I've done half an hour. Where's when I've made like 3 lines. Right, okay, let's try and get some detail in here as quickly as possible. So I'm going to just tweak some of these lines a bit to get my 45-degree lines, which I like. And then we can, let's take that out, let's delete that. So we've got that as a random shape. Let's kill that. So we've got this shape which I like, this shape which we've used already, so let's get that out already. And we've got this shape which is cool. That's just overlapping there, so I want to change that overlap. Right, so let's attach all these lines together into one bit and see what happens. Cool. Going to select all the lines and we're going to do an outline, a tiny little outline from the center. There we go, like that. Cool. And then we're going to go compound objects. You know what, I'm going to keep this stuff. Oops, not that stuff. This stuff. Before I do it, let's just copy it over there. So let's do standard appearance, compound objects, shape merge, and we'll get our shape from the scene. Big shape. And you can see it's cut all those shapes into our panels here. And can we do cookie clutter? Yeah, so cookie clutter, when I turn cookie clutter on, can you see it removes all the holes, which is sweet, which is a lot quicker. So let's do that a lot. So let's scale that. Move it down there a bit. That's it. And we'll do the same again. So plus compound element, shape merge, pick shape, that stuff, modifiers, cookie clutter, nice little panel lines cut away. So let's maybe just do one more cut down here. So another thing that's cool about this is we get these nice repeated shapes, and again, like, repeated shapes are going to help us decide, create sort of design language for our panels. Right, that's cool. Cookie clutter. Probably that should be like a copy. Maybe it's just there's the copy. So let's just do this a few more times. Getting smaller. Yeah, I think I might have, but if I do it too often, it gets boring. So I have to be careful. Yeah, I think that's going to get a bit dull. Let's bring it over here. Cool. There we go. Right. Convert poly. So you can see that that alone has added some interesting detail, which is trying to establish scale. And it might be it's kind of hard to read, probably on YouTube, but at high res, those little tiny cuts will read really well. So zooming on, then, need to populate this background area. So let's just add a bit of thickness to this. Can I use a... Let's just do this then. Let's go add an edit poly modifier on top. Control A. And we're going to yeah, that's tearing. I'd have to. I think I've got to do some cleanup before I do this too much. Right, let's bin that. So I'm not going to do the cleanup. You can see that I need to do some cleanup around these vertices before I do that beveling too much. Dan, I don't think those Photoshop software panels are free to use as normal maps. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, like, you know, what you can and can't do on the internet, because it's like a free for all. But strictly speaking, using them on any kind of professional project would be rude. Um, if you're like photo bashing and you're doing mock-ups, then nobody's going to know. But like really, and they're so recognizable as well that you will get hounded to death if you try and use those Starship panels on any kind of professional project at all. You will get found out, and so I don't think so. You could always ask him. He's a very nice chap. Um, so I'll just, if you really want to use it for something, then go and ask him about it. He's probably going to say no, but there's no harm in asking, and there's a lot of very nice people doing cool stuff online who will help you if you just ask. So yeah, just go and ask him. Let's just shell this just to get some thickness in here. There we go. All right, cool. I'm just going to add another plane in so we start getting some depth. And let's just drop that down there. -1. Right. I want to hide all these shapes that I got. So let's just start making some scene organization. So we've got all these lines. Let's stick them in a different layer. Apart from this guy. So I want to make some surface features. Let's just bring up my example again. Just out of interest though, in terms of these sci-fi panels, there are a lot of assets to buy online. So depending on what you want to do, there are a bunch of assets online, and if you want some recommendations, then hit me up on my Discord about it, about what, because I bought some assets to do like personal project and stuff. Neil Bevan is like particularly good. I haven't really seen anything like it. So if you do see anything else like this, then let me know. But he's really good at these mega structure panels, and I haven't seen anything like that. Everything else is a bit like smaller. So these like, I don't know, what's this, like 100 meters across? What do you think? Whereas the other panels tend to be more like 5 meter, 4 meter panels. And oh yeah, my system spec is it's like 2-3 years old. It's a i7 hexacore with a GeForce 1080 graphics card. Highly recommend GeForce over like Quadro cards. Quad cards are just not worth the money. So let's bring this over here. I got an SSD drive for my for caching mainly. So my Windows system, and I've got a cache drive. So now we can build. Let's just do this. What else? I've got 2 hard drives as well, which are striped as a RAID pair. So if I lose one drive, then I've still got all my data on the other drive, and it's really easy to reconstruct and manage that kind of RAID. That's my favourite over other probably more sophisticated RAIDs, but it's something I can do. So what am I doing? I'm doing a bevel. There we go. Right. I'd really like an ITX card right now. That would help me a lot. Right, so we've got some interesting little feature there. Let's just drop that down. It's on. Yep. Oh yeah, I can use the thingy tool. Let's use that. Select in place. Yeah, and that'll snap it down onto that surface, I hope. So just drag that and repeat and scale it. Again, I'm deciding, like, so rotate it 45 degrees, because that's the rules of my thing. And we'll just scale it down a bit. So those are like buildings or something. So we're beginning to get like some of the design language. Let's see if we can add some like little features now. So kind of losing the separation of that shape. So let's just move some of these things apart. Making sure it reads at distance as well, so that's a bit better. Something happened then. Why did that go that way? Yeah, AMD cards are very cool, but everything I use uses OpenCL. That's better. So like so that NVIDIA codec that like seems to get used everywhere isn't on the AMD cards. Oh, that's not a codec; it's an API. So yeah, I hate to kind of well, no, I don't. I don't really care actually. They're all just companies. So but it's not that AMD are necessarily worse than NVIDIA. They just don't have the features, the locked-in features that I use. So I do have to go with NVIDIA cards, unfortunately. I don't have a choice. So let me just arrange those a bit more. Oops. Right. Let's do some more bits of detailing. So let's maybe take one of these things. We'll drag over here. Add greeble. Oh, that's interesting. So we need to codify that top mesh. That's adding some more interesting features. Can you see that? Greeble's another one of these kind of classic. Let's do the outlines. There we go. Greeble's another classic plugins for kind of doing these spaceship things, but it does like quads. So let's just sort that out on the top by doing some p-connect. Oops, missed. And let's just add another connector down the middle. There we go. That's nice. So in fact, like if I just stick a greeble modifier on that backplane. So greeble is a free plugin. Has everybody heard of greeble? Let's stick this on my live stream chat. That's where you can go find greeble. It's free. It's been around forever. Clanky's another one of these like old school Max artists. Like It's been around forever doing his thing. So if I just hide, so with greeble we can do this kind of thing. Can I get high quality shading? Yeah, let's not do that. So let's drag that over there. So we can just, so I'm basically just gonna make some like interesting visual noise on the back by doing this kind of thing, and we end up with like something that feels like quite Death Star, like that. So now we're starting to get these layers of detail. Annoyingly, it's not obeying my 45-degree rule, which is a little bit so annoying, but yeah, I'll probably go and tweak that later. So I'm going to ignore that. What should we do next? Pipes. Need some pipes. So I'm going to do this. Well, I've got this edge along my object. Now I've just discovered like this. I'm going to change my snaps now. So I'm going to change snaps from grid points to vertex, and I'm going to snap this line to my edge like this. And then we're going to go and create some more outlines. Cool. Just delete that segment. Yeah, so there's an itusoft, itusoft.com. Let's find this. Oh, dude, you're late. Yeah, you are late. So Itusoft have a bunch of free programs. I use one called Clone a lot in my work. So they've also got something called, apparently, although I did not just check that. What have they got? Let's just check it again. Clone. Spline offset, which I've yet to try, but I think it would make this job quite a lot easier, which I'm what I'm doing now. So I didn't get around to installing it before this live stream because I didn't think I would need it, but apparently I do. Let's just move this by, so shift drag to clone. Make a bit of a mess. Right, let's Control A, make all those corners. And we'll add some rendering. Where's it gone? Where's my dialog on? There it is. Turn on in render and turn on in viewport. Let's make them. Don't need so many sides. Let's give it 8. Don't auto smooth it. Right, so we're getting more layers of detail. Oh, I keep missing. Why am I not getting that? Because it's the wrong one. That's why. Again, I don't want this to be... when things get too uniform, they like read as one object. So, but I'm trying to break up the spacing here as well, just to kind of get it to be a bit more interesting. Like it's obeying the same rules, but you can see just by staggering this distance a bit more unevenly, we get a more interesting shape. Like really simply, even though we're basically just repeating the same thing. Right, and so in that vein, let's just clone this. Copy. We're going to knock out that, and we're going to increase the size. It's not quite working to stack it on top, so I think I'm going to try and just like make it look like it's switching direction or something. Yeah. That's a bit more interesting. Again, so like more layers of detail. So what other tricks have we got in my sleeve? I think it's kind of quite a lot of detailing tricks. Maybe I'll just finish on some like toys that I've been making just to kind of really want to kind of try and render that, but I guess that'll have to wait. I haven't left enough space between my layers. Let's just drag that down a bit. What else? Other tricks, things that you may not have looked at. Content, launch the 3ds Max asset library. So this comes with Max. It needs a bit of setup, and it's a way of like storing your shit for use later. So let's do this. I'll just save this first. Let's save it as panels. Right, so I've been building up my asset library and I've got a ton of stuff that I've made. I'm going to release some of this in Gumroad. So I think I'm going to release all these fasteners on Gumroad. They're all just max files, so it'll be just one big file dump, and they're quite good for detailing small things. We've also got like stuff I've bought, and we've got, where is it? Cylinders. These are interesting. Do I want one of those? Ah, these, that's what I wanted. Let's pick one of these because circles are cool. So I've established a language of like angles, rectangles. So if I start dropping, if I just drop a couple of circles into this scene, they will really sing. I will instantly be drawn to them because they are different shapes. I think, is this an Aramis 3D? No, it's not. I think it's some parts dump that I grabbed from somewhere. Maybe this one. So I think, let's just try doing this. Just right. Just drag and so I'm just dragging and drop from the window. Bang. I can see it's pretty high res. Oh, I dragged it in as a reference. What a dork. delete that. Can I delete that? Well, I'm a muppet. Having shown off all like that. So you've got to be careful. Let's just change. Yeah, see where it says xref? I'm not going to get into xrefs now. I want to merge and import. So let's do that. So just drag it off the window. That goes there. And you can see down here in the layer view, I've got a different icon. So this is an object. That's an X reference, which I can't select. So in order to get rid of that, I'm going to have to go to Reference, XREF Objects. Ooh, it's not an XREF object, it's an XREF scene. There we go. Buy, remove, close. XREFs are really cool for big scenes, and especially across multiple users, but it's not something I'm going to get into right now. So let's just place that somewhere. Scale it right now. So we're getting some little bits of detail, and I think I want to drop it in here. Do I want to drop it in here? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Does that look good? Maybe up here, like that, yeah. And again, let's repeat the shape and scale it. So that's cool, as well as I need, and you can see that you could build up a library of like all kinds of shapes here. Like so, I've got some of the Kitbash 3D stuff. We've got all kinds of like other paneling and other things, so that you can just drag and drop them into your scene, and you can quickly Kitbash together some cool stuff. But we can do more of that kind of thing later, managing asset libraries and things like that, which is actually surprisingly fun. Is this mine? No. Kind of just want to collect more things now. Okay, stop, Ken. Right, okay. Let's close that. Yeah, so I think that's an hour. I could go on forever like this. I think we'll miss out. Let's just do it quickly while we're here. Copy that. I'll just hide everything else. So this is one of the toys that I've got to play with. This is a MCG tool. Allows me to clone objects really quickly. You see, it gets a bit performance heavy if I'm not careful. There you go. Let's just type in some values, otherwise it'll die. So let's go 5 by 5. 16, that'll do. I've written some features for this. Let's maybe go down and zoom in a bit. So we can do a hex organization like that, and also try and pack them together. We can add a random rotation. Like that. It is actually expecting hexagon, so I'm still working on this. We can do brick organizations like that. Oops, that was a bit. Let's just dial this down a bit more slowly, so that's better. Like that. Given random orientations, if you've got like, so I just actually did make a bit more of a simple shape. Let's make a cylinder. It's excited. There we go. Because it fits together perfectly. So now I can just modify this bit with do a bit of modelling. Let's do that. Boop. And we'll do an insert. Let's just extrude that. So you got an interesting feature there, and again by using this we can stack that a lot. And then the idea of this random rotation tool is that it will give me random 60-degree angles to kind of help break up and give it some interest, like that. So I can use these now. Let's just grab that. Maybe we've got some sort of silo. Yeah, and because it's dynamic, because it's based on the size of the object, I can scale like that, and it will dynamically resize the array. So let's just pack that in there somewhere. Whee! That's kind of interesting. But I just align my pivot point to make it easier to manipulate, and maybe we'll just add a symmetry modifier to make it more interesting, like that. Where can we find that one? Yeah, that the KZ hex cloner I haven't released yet because there's a few more features I realised, but it's going to be on my Gumroad. So my Gumroad is, and I don't think that I'm going to get to do it this week. So I'm kind of still. How do I get a link to my Gumroad? Yeah, gumroad.com Kensor. So this is my Gumroad. When I finish developing the plugin, then it will go there. I've got another one as well, which is for doing like circular things. It has the same thing, but I just want to sort out the feature set to make it a little bit more friendly to use, and I need to do like a proper tutorial video. And that will be a paid release, I think. But I don't even know if I'm going to charge a $5 for it, but something like that. Like people are releasing these things so cheaply, then can't really justify it. But it is a neat tool, and because it's MCG, you don't really have to recompile it across platforms, which is also cool. So it's just got a bit of longevity. Cool down. All right, dude. I think that's it. If I get a chance later, I'll render this off so that you can all see how it turned out. I'm sort of having fun with it now, so I'd like to push it a bit further. Feels good, and I'll see how far I get with it. But so takeaway is layers of shapes with big features shrinking down, driving the eye into smaller and smaller features. Layers of different kinds of shape language, and then if you establish everything's like squares and angles, drop a few circles in there, and then they'll really ping as interesting shapes. So that creates a contrast. Contrast is a really good tool in graphic design. Cheers, guys, and yeah, I hope you found those links I posted useful.